Welcome to episode 27 of the BrownCast Ultra podcast, the official podcast of BrownCast Ultra. I'm Kyle.
I'm Alec.
And today we're going to talk about a little movie we saw last weekend. Got it, just now getting around to reviewing it. So, we're talking, of course, about Mad Max Fury Road with Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron.
Mad Max? I thought we were talking about 50 Shades.
Yeah.
I quit.
This is what happens when you change the topic last minute. But no, we are not going to be talking about the release of the uncut 50 Shades of Grey. I wish we were sponsored by them right now, honestly. Those were some easy plugs.
Those were.
Yeah, we are not sponsored by 50 Shades of Grey, but we would gladly be.
We would do the Grey Cast.
Yeah, the BrownCast Ultra. Oh man. Somewhere, there's someone out there stealing this idea. Alright, so we're going to talk about Mad Max today, but first off, in lieu of our normal what we did this week in news section, we're going to dedicate the time completely to the Flash finale and the arrival of the new Supergirl trailer.
Yep.
So stick around for some Mad Max, but first up,
witness it.
Oh. Valhalla.
I was spraying.
Valhalla. I know. I got it. Like, I saw the movie. I was there.
Bill, we were there. This is been a crucial time.
All right. So, first up, the Flash and Supergirl. All right, so last week saw the two big things in the world of DC TV by way of Warner Brothers Television, working on different networks. And for those of you that don't know, the way it kind of works is that you have your production company that makes the show, and then the network that airs it. But obviously they have to get the money from the network, who gets the money from the advertisers. So.
Yep.
Not too difficult once you kind of just lay it out. So anyway, so they have these shows coming out on different networks right now. The probably longest running so far has been the CW shows, the Arrow, and we just saw the end of the season 1 of Flash and season 3 of Arrow, but we're not going to talk about Arrow today.
Yeah, because I only had time to watch through one entire season of a show in one night.
Yeah. Congratulations to Alec, everybody, for finally watching The Flash.
I watched. Well, I think it's fair. I watched The Flash in one sitting, and so I finished it this morning, and it was well into dawn. I started at night, and then the sun came up, and it was kind of one of those things where literally it was like I watch a bunch of episodes, and then I'm like, I better go to bed. And then I can't sleep, so I'm like, I better finish The Flash.
There you go, yeah. Oh, yeah, that once you get towards the end there, you might as well. Plus, it's a good show. Really quality first season.
Definitely. This has a really strong first season, as you've said before many times.
Mm-hmm.
The finale was actually really good. I thought that was a really good way to...
Yeah, they tied everything together. So I guess from this point on, we'll be discussing spoilers for the Flash finale, because there's not a whole lot. Really kind of keep it kind of focused to just the finale, and a little bit about what we think of the show. So
I guess I'll say this to the people who were like me once, who I was like once. Definitely check out Flash. It's as far as superhero shows go, it's extremely easy to pick up. They don't waste any time. It just rolls right into one thing to another, and at no point you'll feel like you don't understand something. Even if you're even if you kind of miss something, it does a very good job of visually portraying a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's you can easily just kind of like jump in there. I like the fact they don't spend like all this time like very developing every little bit. You know, he's pretty much just like a full-fledged Flash by like episode 3, 4.
Yeah.
And they also don't mess around in Arrow. They don't call him Arrow until like season 2.
Yeah.
And they didn't make that mistake with this one. I mean, he had like a different name for the first couple episodes, but then they was calling him Flash, which was they like you said, they just take it, they just get rolling. And the season really keeps the momentum the whole way through.
You know, and I tell people jump on right now in season 1 because this is definitely a show that you're not going to feel overwhelmed like getting into, which is something I've heard lots of people be worried why they don't watch Arrow.
Yeah.
Because they feel a little overwhelmed, especially people who aren't as big into comics as we are.
Yeah, and I definitely understand that because that first season of Arrow is rough. For like the first 17 episodes, it's really hard to get into. I always kind of suggest maybe you just jump on in season 2.
But,
and I think when it gets really interesting, maybe, and just like Wikipedia, what happens.
Also, it does a good job if you want to see a little bit of Arrow without getting into the show, because he makes a guest spot.
Yeah, they had the crossover episodes in the middle of the season.
Yeah, and so it's really cool to see like his character in action, and then you get a feel for how Arrow looks and feels, you know?
Exactly. And you get and some other characters from Arrow, like they have like the Felicity episodes. Obviously, she's a big character on Arrow.
Yeah.
And Ray Palmer, the Atom, who just came in this last season, this third season of Arrow.
Yeah. No, it's really cool stuff. But we're gonna move on to spoilers, so you have been warned.
Yeah.
Spoilers starting now.
So, Jay Garrick, man. Garrick's helmet. Well,
that was
an awesome moment.
That was the best moment of that thing. And for those who we're talking about the helmet that falls out of the portal, that is Jay Garrett. That is reference to Jay Garrett, the first Flash.
Yeah, he was kind of the original Flash from like the Golden Age comics, which around like the 30s and 40s.
And that is his helmet. And it's one of those things in the DC universe, because the Flashes can all do the time warp and universe jumping. His helmet appearing is actually not that far fetched.
Oh no, and they definitely right after it aired, they announced that Jay Garrick is definitely going to be in season 2. Yeah, and possibly Wally. The idea is that they're trying to somehow fit Wally into the thing. He might not make it into the next season, but
it's gonna be interesting. I
mean, who doesn't want? Everyone always wants Wally to be Wally West to be part of the show.
It's gonna be interesting to see like how this all plays out.
Oh yeah. Tom Cavanaugh will be coming back. He did. Really just like made the show. Great villain, especially at the end when he's like, Barry's asking him like, "Why did you do this?" He's like, "Because I hate you." Like I just do. Like
it's great.
He really sells it. Such a kind of like hard to. I mean, I won't say it's like a silly concept because everybody on Earth is prone to irrational hate of some kind.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like it's a pure hatred, Yeah.
It's
like it's not mired down by like some grievance or jealousy like a lot of villains. It's just like
it's just evil.
Yeah. He just genuinely hates all that Barry stands for as a person,
Exactly. One might say he is the reverse. Gorilla Grodd, dude. Gorilla Grodd.
Way to tangent, Kyle. Gorilla Grodd actually, the things that stood out to me about this season for TV effects. Now, some of this is because I don't watch a lot of mainstream television as much, and when I do, it's like a lot of it's like Walking Dead and Hell on Wheels and stuff that don't use a lot of computer effects.
Yeah.
Man, the Flash, the speedster effects of getting him to look like he's moving fast, those look really good, and Grodd looks surprisingly good.
Yeah. If you cut it in a certain way, then you can make the effects, even though the fact that you're using cheaper effects, you can make it look great. I mean, that's just kind of, my hat's up to all the producers and directors behind that show and the editors that were able to kind of piece those action scenes together to make the running look cool and all the action feel really explosive, with just the limited resources they had.
Yeah.
And Grodd was a great example of that because, it's a CGI gorilla, and, I mean, it's no Rise of the Planet of the Apes, right? So, but it doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't. And I like that Grodd. I mean, I think the style where they kept it dark so that way they could accent what needed to be accented and then not worry about,
Yeah.
It's like instead of focusing on the hair on his back, you can put that in shadow and then make his face look like something really good, and it gives him a really good presence on screen,
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
You definitely feel Grodd also. I mean, the way they did Grodd, he feels a lot like he's there,
Yeah. Large part to Jesse Martin, who hats off, kudos to that guy who had to sit in a sewer and be scared of, they're like, here, you're scared of the tennis ball. Like, it's the scariest thing you've ever seen. Hey, he pulled it off.
Yeah.
But, whoever thought of putting him in the show, like,
props.
Yeah, that's cool because he is having and they kind of do that in Arrow with Paul Blackthorne.
Yeah.
They kind of have like the veteran actor on kind of always in the scene on the set, and I feel like it gives kind of the rest of the cast like a kind of sense of leadership.
I was saying this earlier, but I'll repeat it for the audience. You know what though? When he attacks the truck, man, I always thought we were getting a Sportsmaster.
Oh yeah, Clancy Brown.
Yeah, I thought
General Ealing.
I was like, oh man, Sportsmaster, which that may still be a thing. Someone
I would
get that mask and use it.
Yeah. I mean, the Sportsmaster is an easy one, so I wouldn't be surprised if Sportsmaster makes it into one of them. More than likely Arrow though, because that seems more of like the villain they would want for Arrow because. So for instance, like Captain Boomerang is typically a Flash villain. So and he's in the Arrow side of the Flash Arrow crossover because they did one episode for Flash and one episode for the season 2 of Arrow.
Yeah.
And the Arrow one where Flash comes to Starling City, the bad guy's Captain Boomerang. And I could kind of see how maybe they wanted to save that guy like Boomerang for Arrow because he's kind of more of a practical villain without like superpowers, and that he's just like a really skilled fighter.
I did miss him a little bit though.
Well, yeah, and the guy that plays Boomerang is the same guy that plays Asher on Spartacus.
Nice.
Yeah, he's really awesome.
I was just like, oh man, I actually like Captain Boomerang. He's like,
oh yeah,
he's one of those villains that I'm just like, people are like, oh, boomerangs are stupid. I'm like, no, boomerangs are awesome.
Yeah, you have to just like kind of see how the character's written to really appreciate him. I think I recently read Ostrander's run of Suicide Squad, and Captain Boomerang is really like this standout character, almost a good comedy relief character at times. He's like the guy that's definitely not. He's definitely looking out for number one, at all times. And
speaking of looking out for number one, Captain Cold, really good Captain Cold.
Oh yeah. Oh man, his name is escaping me right now. But the guy from Prison Break.
Yeah.
That's his name, right?
That's his name.
The guy from Prison Break.
Starring the guy from Prison Break.
Yeah, he he really nailed it. You can tell he's having a lot of fun with that too, which I like. Everybody on Flash really seems like they're having a lot of fun on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
So so they're doing a really good job with that. So. But I'm going to go ahead and tangent here because there was one more thing we wanted to talk about with the DC TV. And as a Supergirl trailer came out, a 5-minute trailer with just all scenes from the pilot. I mean, it's sorry, I was about to say CW, but you see this a lot of TV shows. The CW shows definitely did it, but
Yeah.
where they do the first look kind of trailers, like this 5-minute kind of long trailer, kind of giving like an overview of the whole pilot episode. So you pretty much already, I mean, you watch this trailer and you know what the plot of the first episode is going to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of, so we can finally get to see this long anticipated, kind of, everybody's been kind of wondering what direction they were going to take it, what was the look going to be. So far, there's no word of any kind of crossovers with Arrow and Flash, but it is confirmed that they left the contracts open for that.
Yep.
For possible crossovers, which is something that is feasible now because in Flash they introduced the concept of the multiverse.
Yeah.
And also honestly, the main producers are Greg Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim, who are the producers of Flash, and I don't think they're going to do Arrow anymore. They're handing Arrow off to someone else after this season. So you have these same producers are also doing this show. It's just on a different network, with obviously a CBS budget instead of a CW budget.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Well, Alec, what don't you like about it?
Here's my issue is I don't like the way they're aiming the story of I'm dealing with life and girl problems and
confirmed. Alec hates women.
Shut up. My boss is kind of mean and bitchy and look, I'm just living in the city, Oh no, I have superpowers.
In the city.
I mean, it's
when you're a super girl, yeah.
I mean, it's something. It says more to me that SNL can do a joke for Black Widow that is more like the Supergirl trailer than anyone would have.
Yeah,
intended.
that was kind of a hilarious
coincidence.
Coincidence that came out because that Black Widow trailer came out it's like a week earlier on SNL.
Yeah, it's one of those things
also
where
hilarious.
It's where when it is hilarious, but it just when your trailer looks like the SNL joke, I think there's a problem there.
Yeah, it's kind of I feel bad for those because they obviously had no idea, but
a lot of the scenes to me a lot of this is higher executive thought of women can't get into comics. They don't like comics, so we need to make this more. We need to retool this to be more aimed at a show that appeals to women, and then have comic stuff.
Well, I think that is part of the point. I think they don't want to make a show. They're not trying to target comic fans, right? Because comic fans is such a small demographic.
Yeah.
They want to get the, right now is the best time ever for kind of casual moviegoers and casual TV watchers to get into comic stuff. It's I like these movies and shows about superheroes, so they're kind of trying to tap into that. Largely on the female demographic. So trying to target female casuals, essentially.
But you know what? I feel like it's kind of lazy because you could still aim a story more at women, but not just rely on the tropes that like have been done before. You know?
Yeah, I will say, and I can't say I'm too surprised by that, just because CBS is kind of a network of like the tropes. Like they just love, you know.
I mean, there's one
number
of the
one
scenes,
show is NCIS.
the one scene that like drives me insane of that, like the one that hits it for me, that makes me like actually get a little butthurt. It's like she goes to the secret like underground alien defense task force, you know, and then the guy's like, if you want to help us, you can just leave. And then the next.
Oh yeah, no,
no.
that's not what he said, because I want to clarify this.
Okay,
what he said, because I had a huge groan moment. He was like, if you want to help, just go back to getting coffee. I was like,
okay,
oh
yeah,
my god.
And then the next shot is her crying on the couch with feelings of, you know, rejection and stuff. It's like, you can like punch through like steel. Come on, this would breed a slightly stronger person than this.
Well, on that note, the effects look pretty good.
The effects look pretty good, but you know.
Because I will say, I've seen a lot of criticism for this being like, oh, it looks cheap. Like, when it comes to that, that's invalid, because the production value is obviously pretty high on this.
One thing I will say,
they didn't cheap out. They didn't cheap out on the Superman stuff. It's been done, right?
Yeah. Something I will say, this is a personal complaint. You can call me being a stupid comic nerd, internet, if you will. I think the skirt is dumb. I think it looks dumb on television. Like her outfit with the skirt.
Would you have preferred leggings, I guess?
I would have preferred pants. I just don't think it.
Pants?
I don't. I'm sorry. I just don't think it translates.
It would be leggings.
Whatever.
I'm pretty sure she wouldn't be wearing like, you know, Jinkos, like. And flying their khakis, yeah.
Casual super fighting wear.
I mean, I think that the costume looks alright. It's always going to look weird. It's always going to. You're not going to see a Superman costume, because they have to keep it to the costume, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is a costume that was invented in comic books made in like the 20s, right? So it's always going to look kind of weird and kind of silly, because.
But my point
it always was.
Yeah, but I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm saying, like, I feel in this particular case, compared to the other stuff we've seen, I think this doesn't translate as well. You know.
You mean the costume or the show?
Like the costume. I'm thinking. I just don't think it translates. Like doing it 1-to-1 like they are. I think they needed to. I mean, like Arrow. I mean, the Green Arrow's outfit looks like a Robin Hood outfit in the comics, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So when they have the show, they had to deconstruct a lot of that in order for it to translate better to like an actual live action show.
Sure,
you know?
sure. And I don't think Supergirl's always necessarily had a skirt, though.
She's had a skirt for a lot of her history. I consider that, like, Supergirl's rocked the skirt for a long time.
I'm sure she's been drawn with leggings.
Yeah, but
many times before, and I see that would have preferred. I guess I just disagree that it would translate.
Yeah.
If she was like if she's like in leggings, she can't be like the Man of Steel Superman costume.
Yeah.
Right? That would be too like sexualized almost. To just kind of have on TV this kind of like skin tight thing. And if you put the underwear on, then it just looks even sillier. So I mean, I guess maybe the skirt is just like the lesser of evils.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this is more my aesthetic complaint than like an actual
But you know,
show
I think. You know, I think the show is definitely worth giving a chance, because You never know. You can't judge a show. I always say you can't judge a show by its pilot. You can't judge it by the trailer of the pilot for sure. And but because they didn't cheap out on the effects at the very least.
Yeah.
And you could get some cool fights, maybe some cool villains. But it could not work out. I definitely dropped Gotham, so that did not pan out. You never really know, but I probably would have kept watching Constantine. That got canceled though.
Hopefully, all I can say is hopefully they get some good feedback and address some more of this, as far as dealing with the way the story is going to turn. Yeah. I would say this, in the future of the show, I would like to see, as the season progresses, and as it progresses, they merge more comic book stuff into this show. You
definitely see that with like Flash and Arrow, how they start out like really grounded, and then it's like they kind of feel more and more comfortable with kind of inserting the more campy aspect of the comic books.
And that's something I feel, especially when you think about this from like DC, the DC brand and whatnot, I feel they definitely need to take this time and start introducing people to this show, building the audience, and then moving them into the more comic book aspect of this universe.
Yeah.
Because then people will start going and trying to watch Flash and Arrow, and then they'll go turn out more to see some of this like DC stuff.
Well, luckily the all the team up and crossover episodes got great ratings, so I think they're going to start to kind of move in that direction.
Yeah.
So, we have they have the animated show Vixen, which is going to come out on the internet, on like the CW Online programming, and that's going to take place in the Flash and Arrow universe.
Yeah.
So cool cool stuff. But we are out of time for that today. But look forward to season 2 of Flash. We curiously await the arrival of Supergirl, and hey, there's lots of Legends of Tomorrow is going to come out too. So.
Hey, the multiverse is open, so now all bets are off.
Yeah. We'll see all kinds of ideas come about. So it's exciting. It's exciting stuff. See, DC TV, they have so much more freedom than like the movies, which are going to be kind of tight, So, all right. So we are going to go ahead and move on to our next segment, in which we review Mad Max: Fury Road.
So, we are back, and we are doing our review of Mad Max: Fury Road.
This is BrownCastultra, and our world is fire. Eats lizard. There you go.
You got me thinking about food now. So, we saw Mad Max. For those who don't know, Mad Max is the story of after the apocalypse, mankind has kind of devolved into crazy tribal warfareism, typical wastelander stuff. And we are following our hero Max, and now, for those who are wondering in the context of the other Mad Max films, this movie never does establish at what point it takes place in the chronology of Mad Max. So
it's kind of a soft reboot in that respect. Like,
it really is.
You don't have to have seen. We can say that right off the bat. If you haven't seen this because you're worried because you haven't seen the other Mad Max movies, you do not have to see them to see this movie. Although I would always recommend The Road Warrior as a must-watch movie, just for you. Just for you. But this movie, you can just go in cold and love it. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to have you seen any of those movies to get the full enjoyment out of this. It's just not the nature of the franchise. So.
Yeah. No, and this is just it's one of those movies. But this is the story of Max as he is once again stumbled into another human settlement unwillingly and must fight to secure his freedom while doing the right thing. And in this case, he's helping the gal Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron, and they are trying to save some ladies.
Yeah. We won't get too deep into that just yet.
Not yet.
Because we'll be safe for spoilers, but this will be pretty brief before we get to spoilers,
so
because this movie you can't really talk about.
So here's my review of this. Amazing,
1 star.
Amazing movie. I'm gonna call it. This is probably going to be the best movie of the summer, if not the year.
Yeah.
And I'm not even just saying like, oh, this was a great action movie. No, this was just a great movie. Like, the action is astounding. Truly truly masterful work in that. Like, the car fighting is incredible. The writing is all extremely solid.
Yeah, or lack thereof.
Lack thereof.
That was, George Miller. Oh my God. Just what a visual storyteller.
Yeah.
Really didn't, I get so tired in movies of just, characters in the first 10 minutes of the movie, characters just sitting around, spouting exposition. And, there's just very little talking in this. It's just kind of like a series of images that just completely tells the story and immerses you in this world. Yeah, so, and then that's kind of cool because then, once these characters that spend so long not speaking, once they do speak, it's just that much more impactful, especially Max. So.
Yeah. With this movie, oh man, this is definitely one of those movies that you feel that this was a work of passion. And everybody on this movie just gave it their all and just killed it.
Yeah.
Just killed it.
And for those of you that aren't aware, George Miller is the original director of Mad Max. This isn't somebody doing a remake. This is George Miller who says, yeah, let's make Mad Max again, only with all these effects and all this modern movie technology that it didn't have back at those back in the 70s, 80s when they were making these. So very cool. And if that said though, they still they don't this movie isn't overloaded with CGI.
No, it's so much practical work.
Yeah, they have all these cars, all these crazy vehicles rolling through. They're all real cars. All these, you have a guy with the guitar with shooting fire, a guitar that shoots fire as he plays it. And it's all real.
Yeah. It's
all real, and we don't. We're just so used these days, to going to the movies and our eyes just kind of glazing over at all the CGI in a single action scene.
Yeah, just.
Don't you remember seeing Jupiter Ascending earlier this year, and just those chase scenes? That's just this green screen land, and it's
and it's
meaningless.
It's meaningless.
It doesn't hit you as.
Yeah, for any of those that want to consider themselves or learn about film or understand film better, this is a movie that's going to teach you.
Yeah.
It teaches.
Well, the Road Warrior, the second Mad Max movie, The Road Warrior, probably the most popular of those older movies. Was considered today to be a textbook movie.
Yeah.
For making movies on a low budget. This is the way they shot it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's really good because it's with this movie, man, your eyes are just constantly just searching over all this detail because it's rich. Like
Oh, yeah.
every big scene is just rich with detail. Like
Yeah, you know, we were just before the podcast, we were looking at pictures. Alec was pulling up pictures on his tablet, and just all these little details that things we didn't even like quite notice this first time around. Of like all the characters, their costumes, and the sets and the vehicles.
I mean,
incredible.
to show this, one of the main characters has like a branding of an engine on his chest.
Yes, the
thing.
Nicholas Holt character, Knox. Yeah.
And we didn't even notice that in the movie because it was like just so subtle.
Yeah.
But then like you look at a picture and it's there, bright as day. You're like, wow, they didn't have to do that.
Yeah, I can't wait for. I probably won't go see it in theaters again, but I can't wait for the Blu-ray release of this movie.
Oh,
So I'm totally gonna go for a rewatch of Fury Road.
This will be a Blu-ray buy. Definitely.
Probably, kick back on the couch, have a couple thousand beers, and, like just Mad Max it up, So. On that note, I guess one more thing I wanted to talk about before we went into spoilers.
Yeah.
I like the 3D a lot, actually.
This was one of the movies where 3D worked.
Yeah.
If you are in the Hollywood industry and you want to do movies in 3D, go watch this movie.
Because it's like an immersive 3D. There's not so much like the jumping out at you.
No!
Yeah, I mean they do that a couple times, like in smart little ways.
But
but yeah, it's like the 3D that I love. Like, I really like is that initial shot of like the canyon of Immortal Joe, and like that whole like thing and something, just like the way it just kind of feels like you're just kind of going into it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. 3D.
Which is better compared to
I usually do not go for 3D. I did not really care for the 3D in Avengers.
No,
Avengers Age of Ultron.
Pointless. But I mean, it just reminds me of a lot of people are talking about Poltergeist that came out recently.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest critiques I've heard from lots of different reviewers, lots of different people, is that the 3D is such garbage. Just like jump scare. Like, put on your 3D glasses. Like,
that's what I've heard a lot of, actually, is that they do a lot. It relies a lot on jump scares.
It's like the joke Futurama did where Bender's got the sandwich.
Yeah.
It's just complete waste of time. But enough of my rants.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and move on to spoilers for
Same
sure.
here.
We'll spend the rest of the time talking. So we'll spend the rest of this podcast talking spoilers for Mad Max Fury Road. I would definitely recommend you go see it. So if you haven't, you might want to skip to the end and maybe listen to it after you watch the movie.
Go watch this movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't go see Poltergeist. Don't go see anything else. Go see this movie.
There you go.
This is going to be the movie people are talking about.
Very true. Very true. So, here on out, spoilers for Mad Max, you have been warned.
Spoilers now.
Alright, so, man, I don't know where to even, start with,
I don't even know where to start or where to begin.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of this being called a feminist movie?
I don't know what that term does that term really mean? That's one of those things. It's like Princess Bride. Everyone uses that word, and I don't think it means what we think it means.
Yeah.
I question that. God, I'm making such a bad name for myself since Supergirl and now this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What does that really represent? Maybe it's because I'm a man. Maybe I just don't understand. But to me, I think is it a feminist movie? I could totally see you interpreting it that way, but I think it's just a movie. I mean, I guess I've always been in that camp of like, a movie is a movie, and whether you like it or hate it or you think it's offensive, I think that's all part of the film experience.
Yeah,
But like
that's
if I
very
just
well
like
put.
if like I was like, oh, Immortal Joe is very upsetting because Joe is fat and I'm fat and I don't like that portrayal. You know, that's all right because that's what that's what makes movies an art form, is that we can all look at it differently.
Join that Peter Griffin, like
Association of Fat Guys?
Yeah.
The Fat Guy Coalition. But it's one of those things where it's like, I feel if people want to interpret that way and it makes them feel good, awesome. But
it certainly had strong female characters.
It did. No, it really did.
Yeah.
Furiosa's like awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they didn't make the mistake of. There's often that kind of logic fallacy that when the writer is trying to create a strong female character, they make her character that is like just physically strong.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not really what it's about. And granted, it would be very hard for me to explain what makes a strong female character, but I say it more has to do with her attitude, and maybe her sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
That Furiosa kind of had, because you could tell. I mean, this movie is, since we're on spoilers, we can kind of say, Max doesn't really. He's kind of a side character for the first 30 minutes of this movie, and which is kind of always how the Mad Max movies go. Like, Max kind of stumbles in upon, these situations that are happening to other people.
Mad Max is Fist of the North Star.
Yeah,
Instead of punching, it's cars.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which one came first.
I don't know either.
I
But
think
the similarities.
I think Fist of the North Star probably came second.
I think so too.
Mad Max is pretty much. I could be wrong. I say it's bad, but I want to go out and say that Mad Max really is the franchise that established this whole kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Oh no, totally. I would totally
motif.
agree with that. No, I think Fist of the North Star came second because the guy from Fist of the North Star has the outfit of Mad Max for a point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So there you go. But that aside, back to Furiosa. You can just kind of Charlize Theron really just great job as usual. I mean, she's just kind of generally does a great job every time nowadays.
Yeah. Well,
and you can really see that she's just been through some shit. And she's got the robot arm, which it's not. They didn't make such a big deal about the robot arm. It's just kind of
it's a part of life.
Yeah, it's a practically used device.
And that was for a lot of it. You had Joe had that kind of lung thing, but I don't know if you remembered his son Rictus.
Yeah.
He has an air carburetor on his back.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what that is. That's actually, it's filtering oxygen for him.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And it's something that's really, they just, in that world, in that movie universe, the robot arm is just something that is practical, a part of life, and just the way things are.
Yeah, exactly. And they kind of, they just, didn't put all this focus on all those things. They're just there. And they're a part. Yeah, they're a part of the world, and that's what made it work so well, for sure. Focus on the action and the there and now, what's going on. So, they didn't overcomplicate this. They kept the scope just focused on this, this escape, and for a rated R movie. Thought it was, it's kind of tame. I mean, obviously there's heavy violence. It's kind of a high action violence and adult kind of themes. But for instance, there's no rape scene.
Yeah.
You didn't need it.
There's no obvious exploitation. There's no.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, the movie's one of the big themes of the movie is exploitation.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
You can't. And that was something, on that topic like that I did think about today when I was like getting ready for this. It really does. That whole thing really works very well because all the Immortal Joe's concubines, all those ladies.
Yeah.
None of them look. They're not dressed in a way to look super flattering,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And that's something I really like is it's like. The movie's kind of like going like, yeah, no, this isn't.
They didn't like Princess Leia that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie's like, hey, this isn't. They're scantily clad, but this shouldn't be eye candy because this is the point of our movie.
Yeah.
Everyone sees them as a thing and not a person.
Exactly. It's property.
Yeah, it's a great theme. It's a great theme of the movie.
Yeah. One of many.
Those actresses all did a really good job too.
Yeah.
Like,
totally
really,
pulled it off. They
really,
all kind of had, they had very limited, like each had like 1 and 2 scene, like 2-3 scene arcs.
Especially to establish.
Yeah,
themselves.
like over the course of the film though, it's like you have the one that like with the seeds, and then you have the one girl that's kind of like questioning, like, well, maybe we did have it back, and then at the end she's like, you think that she's going to go back to Immortal Joe,
yeah,
but she's really just helping Furiosa, like,
kick his ass,
and like, I mean, granted, the one girl that had like the kind of weird love
thing with Knox.
Yeah, with Knox, and that was kind of whatever. Because Knox's arc was pretty good.
Oh, Knox was one of my favorite characters in that.
Yeah, kind of unexpectedly too. So.
But, speaking of Knox, I actually read the Mad Max comic that they released.
Oh,
for this movie, and it's got like the issue I read had 2 stories. One was about the history of Knox, and one was about the history of Immortal Joe.
Yeah.
And the Knox one's really good, like talking about because the Knox one does a really good job of establishing how the War Boys work,
Yeah.
And it works really well, like when you read that and then think about the movie.
No, that's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out.
And then the Immortal Joe one is really cool because it talks about like how Immortal Joe got to where he was, and it bridges that gap of like from the fall of humanity to where Immortal Joe has a skull palace.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's neat that they have that out there for if you want to get some more Mad Max in your system, which I'm definitely down to do. So I'm definitely going to check that out. So hey, Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Oh man.
So yeah, definitely a great performance. Very subtle. They kept his kind of like silent hero.
Yeah, the show don't tell of this movie was fucking glorious.
Yeah, it was like a breath of fresh air.
I mean, I know a lot of people like Mel Gibson and liked his portrayal as the original Max, but my God, having a Max that doesn't talk the whole movie was pretty good.
Yeah, he really. I think Tom Hardy did a good enough job to where, like, in the midst of the movie, you kind of forget that he was ever played by anybody. Max, was ever played by anybody else.
The thing is, he's not like a suave Max, because like the Mad Max in the original ones, he was always like he had this kind of charm to him. Everybody likes
just that
him.
kind of general general Mel Gibson charm. Which kind of fit better the tone of those movies.
Yeah.
But for this, which, they had the technology to make it just really gritty and realistic. I think this Tom Hardy kind of version was just really good. It really worked out. And I like, I said I was talking earlier how the fact that they were like silent for so long really just kind of builds up the hype for when they do talk. And I thought that was especially true for Max. I felt like the whole time just like, okay, when's he gonna like say something? Like, because they had that opening monologue, that short monologue, and then he doesn't talk. There's really not much dialogue up until about 20-30 minutes into the movie.
Speaking of show don't tell, Oh man, the day nightmares that he has, like that. The way they shot those was good.
Yeah, they didn't make it. They didn't make it. Pretty much, they didn't make it weird.
Yeah,
Just keep that. I mean, keep that stuff simple. I always say.
Especially the scene with like the hand where he blocks the shot. You know.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was great. That was a clever way to do that stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, I mean, yeah. So something. I kind of wanted to address a couple complaints I kind of heard about the movie.
Well, they're wrong.
Well, what you may hear that this movie is kind of hard to follow. And granted, at some points it kind of is, but I would say it's not really that hard to follow.
No.
I mean, and for the most part, you don't. Granted, there are kind of like things going on in the background, and a lot of the kind of in passing dialogue that really explain like everything that's going on. Like a lot of people, I've heard a lot of complaints of people not understanding like why the other two tribes showed up, and
well,
but I mean, we could go into and like explain it all, but I mean, it's in there. For sure.
Okay,
the bullet farm and
I'll solve this right now. People who don't know, he calls them brothers.
Yeah.
They're Immortal Joe siblings. He refers to them as his siblings.
Yeah, exactly.
And they refer to him back as siblings. That's the point.
Yeah, exactly. And like when the guy, with like all the guns and like who gets blinded, he's like the bullet, the bullet farm where they make the weapons,
and the other guy runs Gas Town.
Yeah, where they pump gasoline, and they're like allied tribes and stuff, and Furiosa goes on runs between them, and so it really just kind of makes sense. It's kind of a Battle of Troy kind of thing, but anyway, so I guess we'll go ahead and close this out. Want to do, Alec, get some your final thoughts on Mad Max Fury Road?
My final thoughts are that this is as far as like, if you want to see, I mean, this is really going to up the standards of a lot of action movies, and I hope so. Like, I hope people demand more out of their movies because of this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not that I liked the first Taken, and I thought the first Expendables was alright, but come on. Like, this movie shows that you can do better for cheaper.
This movie was not cheap, but
my point being,
your point still stands.
Still
stands for sure.
Like, that's my.
Just wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not saying like it was cheap, but I mean like compared to like how much money they're shelling out for Expendable movies and
Yeah.
But I mean, this is the thing. I want movie audiences to watch this movie, get into it, and really start demanding more, because it's not hard to like make movies close to that caliber. I mean, you can't make every movie as good as this one, but you can make a lot of these movies step up their game.
As far as George Miller goes, this movie's no Happy Feet, but no.
This is a Babe Pig in the City.
I'm totally I'm totally on board with George Miller from now on.
That is weird. That's weird how that works out. You make Mad Max, and then you make Babe and Happy Feet, and then you go back to Mad Max. That is an interesting human being.
He works on a lot. He does a lot of producing work.
Yeah.
So he produces like tons and tons and tons of stuff.
That's it. But
I'm just like, as far as his director,
that's an interesting person that can be like, you work on kids' movies for like a decade, and then you're like, I want to make a movie like Mad Max again.
Oh yeah, he's that's quite a talent.
That is
quite a talent. Truly a master of the craft, and kind of made it. Reminded me of a lot of the crappy directing I put up with.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I just just saw coming off of kind of a mildly disappointing Avengers movie, and coming into this. Breath of fresh air.
What if this had come out before Ultron? That would have been bad.
Yeah. It will always be compared to it. So, but that's it until Star Wars. So
that's it till Star Wars. Really? We've got other movies coming. Hell with those.
Yeah, it's over. It's over until
I don't know if I'm
Wars.
gonna be able to drag you, but I am gonna go see Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, I'll see that. Yeah, that's probably the next big one, huh?
Yeah, but there again though, with Jurassic Park, it's like if you have expectations for Jurassic Park, I think you've overestimated Jurassic Park.
Oh right, yeah.
Like.
Very true. So that'll conclude this episode of BrownCast Ultra. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, you can give us a good rating and recommend us to your friends, your movie-loving, comic-reading, time-wasting friends, and get them addicted to the BrownCast.
Yep.
It's like a drug that you can never quit.
Hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Links will be below.
Oh yeah, please like us because we like you. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or critique, email us at browncastultra@gmail.com. And I'll pretend that I read it. All right. So
I'll just print off the emails and then just lay on them.
Just those emails their world is fire. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, actually, you know what? If we get enough angry emails, I'm gonna Scrooge McDuck it.
Yeah, there we go. McDucky involves. All right, from BrownCast Ultra, Kyle,
Alec,
thanks for listening.